Welcome back to another amazing episode of the FitBiz Journey podcast. This episode I have an amazing guest for you. Her name is Juliet Kyes and she is amazing. I met her about 5 years ago and you didn't have a book back then, did
No.
you? No, okay, so, and now she's also an author about OMG WTF. But can you tell me what the WTF stands for, by the way?
Yeah, so it stands for What's the Focus?
You guys thought something else. So we'll talk about this book in a minute. I just want to bring up that she's a successful business coach and partner. And she actually helped me when I first started my business and opened up this location 5 years ago. She was actually one of the first few clients at this location, and she introduced me to everyone, as you would think a coach would do. They would push you to the right directions, and then they introduce you to the right person, and they tell you, you need to do this bookkeeping, you need to do clean up here, you need to do this and that. But the reason why we have her here today to actually talk about that, when should you and why should you hire a coach, just like you currently coaching somebody in the fitness industry, even if it's your employee or if it's your client, it's the same thing, but when and why you should hire somebody amazing like Juliet. So Juliet, if you wouldn't mind, can you please just say a few words about you and maybe what you really do so people have like an understanding?
Yeah, so I'm actually part of a business coaching firm. So we started it 12 years ago, but it's also part of a larger franchise. So Action Coach is actually an international franchise. It's celebrating about 25, going to 26 years now, and has been the leader, you know, in the business services area of franchises since we've been in it for 12 years. So they've been recognized on a number of different franchise lists. One was a top 100, they were number 35. So they just hit the franchise 500 list again. So, you know, why I say that is it's a little bit different from some of the other coaches that you might meet, where this is a very proven system for helping businesses. And although every coach is a little different in where they focus, where our sweet spot is really for that established, successful company that's now saying, okay, I've bootstrapped it, I figured it out, I've made it past year 3, I'm financially successful, I've got profit, but now what? I've kind of done everything I know how to do, I'm reading books, but I still am not getting that breakthrough result. And so how do I really push myself to that next level? That's really what we do. And we focus on how do you build a business in a way that you're building it that it works without you. So you don't have to work in the day-to-day, you choose to, and you choose what you want to do in the day-to-day, but you don't have to be there. So, you know, if you want to cruise, you can go on it, and the business would still operate and maybe do better without you being there. That's really what we're teaching our clients to get to, is that phase. So
that sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
I think because a lot of business owners mostly feel like, well, I have to do everything. They couldn't possibly function without me.
Yep.
So that's ultimate dream for a business owner.
And lots of times also that so many business owners, when they free up, you know, time, and then they finally delegated everything out, or leveraged out, I should say, and everything is going well, they also find ways to get back into the business, because that feeling that I need to do something, let me just do this now, and then and all of a sudden you're deeper in it than you were before, which I have gone through too. And but what you mentioned, to going on a cruise and vacation, so Topher Morrison, I joined the KPI program, and I think you introduced me, maybe, I don't even know, but in Tampa, and then he asked me up front, then before I joined the group, that it's 6 months long, and then he asked me, and now he's running for mayor right now, but anyways, he asked me that if I do this, then right now, the first day, he asked me 6 months before, I have to pick a date when I go away for a month for vacation. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. And I did it. That's why I actually hired her, and I was gone for a month when we opened up our 3rd location, and then everything was fine. You know? But anyways, let's get back to it. So why is that, do you think? That I really wanted to ask you that, because I think so many people struggle with this, but why do people, business owners, feel like that I just need to do everything?
Well, it comes from the fact that you start your business as self-employed. At some point, you were the sole employee, and so you really were the best at everything. That's how you got to this point. The challenge is that at every new phase of growth, you have to shift your mindset and what you do for the business. What's the highest value that you bring? And so, especially for all of us, come from an employee mindset originally. So we were taught that we have to be busy. That's how we make money. Otherwise, if we don't look busy, we might get fired or replaced. So we're filling up time to make money, and then we become self-employed. So that's a whole shift in itself, to now realize we need to be as efficient as possible with our time, that we actually free up extra days because that's how I have time to hire someone and onboard the next person. Then you have to move to a manager level. And this is a whole different level because now it's about other people doing it better than you. Whereas before you had to depend on you being the best at everything in your business. Now you have to shift your thinking to, I'm not the best at sales. I'm trying to hire someone who's better than me, that exceeds what I've ever done. I'm not the best in marketing. I'm not the best at managing eventually. So that you can truly move to an ownership level. And I think a lot of owners don't know what owners do all day because they've spent so many years as self-employed or manager level or some form of both of them that it's very uncomfortable to think about what would I do as an owner. I don't know what that is. So we talk about working on it versus in it, and I have so many clients going, am I in it or I'm on it? Is this in it or I'm on it? Like, they know in it so well because that's the day-to-day and the to-do list and the getting back to people, but working on it is very weak and they don't know what that is. And so we start opening their eyes to what that is. A lot of what's in the book is that kind of stuff, and so that's what actually gets you forward momentum so that you start acting like an owner. And eventually when you do that stuff, the business gets built so it can work without you. And now it gets fun because now it's, you know, helping them envision not just travel, but what's your next investment? Do you want to go learn real estate investing? Do you want to go learn how to buy businesses and build them? Are there some complementary businesses that you could acquire? I've helped a lot of clients merge by buying other businesses and acquiring their list. So there's just a world of opportunity once you get yourself out of the day-to-day. And so some of it is just opening their eyes to what else could you be doing if you weren't here in this business every day.
Yeah, and then you don't get stuck and staying the same. And anyways, but the analogy that I use when I think I was at maybe was it a football game, but what I saw is that the oh, this is a hockey game, the owner, right? So being an owner and working and how you should be working when you're an owner in a business is that first that owner actually up there also started as a hockey player, right? He was actually a hockey player at first, and then did everything that needed to be done, had a coach to it, right? And then moved to a coaching position. Now he's not playing anymore, not jumping on the field and, you know, make the play and games and that kind of stuff. He's just outside, just like you said, the manager role, right? And after that, actually moved into a position when he became the owner of the actual, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Actually, I'm talking about Iserman. Yeah. So he's now up there, and now you don't see him ever, besides when he has to make a decision or a trade or a new stadium or a new name, like now it's a different stadium name, but he's mainly up in the top level, looking down to all of the teammates and players, and never comes down and jumps in. He's just eating now probably you know, hot dogs and burgers, and then they think, oh, that owner doesn't do anything. But no, he's doing what he needs to do, the main thing, right? Yep. So my question is, so what do you think that, what should an owner focus on as an owner?
Yeah, so if you think about it, there's really some core machines that you got to build in a business in order to get it to that level where you can really just be an owner. So there's the incoming business. Obviously the marketing machine is a key one, and a lot of times businesses don't really know how to get that into a machine. They're not measuring what's working, and so it's very hard to know how to ramp it up, how to slow it down. There aren't real levers to a marketing plan, so that's a really key machine to make sure there's consistent new business coming in. The other piece of that is sales. So you have to get a sales machine that works without the owner. So many businesses are dependent on the owner doing all the sales. And so once you get a marketing machine really working, you have to get a sales machine working. Then there's the operations and day-to-day. That needs to run like a machine. It needs to have owner. It needs to have the manager in charge of it. It needs to have operational plans. It has to have positional agreements, all of that, so that there's a good management structure. And then the back end and kind of the admin side of it needs to be machine-like too, because now you've got this thing that can really work. So you can move on to that next level. So each one of those machines has a lot of components in it where you really have to learn and figure out. And the best thing is it's out there, the information is out there. It's just most businesses are so trapped in the day-to-day that they don't make the time to read. And when they read things, they don't know how to put them into application, and so they get stuck, or it takes years versus doing it immediately. And so that's just what speeds it up, is by having a coach, is to just push you through a lot of that takes longer. You can definitely do it on your own. It just takes longer, and you kind of stall things out without meaning to.
Just like working out. You said you use that analogy all the time. I use it
all the time. I love that analogy because I feel like everyone, especially this time of year, everyone's joined the gym and they're excited, and I'm getting the same thing in my business. Like New Year's resolution was to get organized in my business, and you know, this is going to be a growth year, and I need to hire people, and so I get it too. And so I'm always using that analogy of, you know, if you pay for someone to be there to teach you and watch you from the outside to say you're not effectively using that muscle, you're not engaging your core, you know, all the things that a trainer does, that's what a coach is doing when you're starting to practice things in your business, is saying, you know, have you thought about this? Let's measure that. Let's make sure, you know, so it's that outside perspective. You cannot get an outside perspective without someone else there. It's just, it's impossible. Exactly. So you have to get someone watching what you're doing to be effective, just like when you're working out. And there's an element to accountability you get when you work out with someone else. Yeah. Because you paid for them to meet you there. Yeah. And so the same thing happens in your business. When you pay someone to meet you somewhere, it holds you accountable. You show up.
Because if you don't have somebody, you feel like also you can get away with anything, right?
Oh,
because since it's my business, I'm my boss. But then when you have somebody that you need to be accountable for, I'm like, ah, crap. Now I'm gonna have to tell her that I messed up or I didn't do what she asked me a month ago. You know?
Yeah. Well, it speeds it up too, because a lot of clients will be like, they're still very driven. They're disciplined. They get things done. These are not people that don't work hard and get things done. It's just it might have been a few weeks later that got done. And so it just speeds up the timetable, because now they have a meeting tomorrow. They're like, I'm at least going to get this drafted or work on it a little bit. And so now what they might have put off because of urgencies and distractions, they're getting done faster. And same things with working out.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this book that you have written. And so what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so, you know, I love the title because it always makes business owners laugh when you say, you know, it's called OMG WTF. And actually, when we were launching the book and we put that in the subject line, I had a couple people say, like, I didn't know if I should open that email. I didn't know what that was about. So I love that it's fun because, you know, business really needs to be fun. I feel like a lot of fun gets lost when you get in the pressures of the day-to-day. But, you know, the truth is, when it came down to it, we said this was about 9 years into our business. We asked, you know, what's the #1 challenge? What do businesses really need to figure out? And it's what to focus on. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's not a lack of strategies. It's not a lack of knowledge. Business owners have a lot of knowledge, but it's almost, you know, the vision of Action Coach is world abundance through business re-education. So it's about getting them refocused, re-educated on what's really going to start creating jobs, creating economic development, because all of that starts to create abundance around the world. Because when the businesses start floating, everyone around them starts floating, and jobs get created and money flows in their communities. So we really wanted to share what are those pieces that when you focus on them, it moves you forward to actually making profit, having free time, and hiring people and providing jobs for your community, because that's really what gets us excited. And so now it's a book. So whether maybe you're not ready for us yet, you're still in the first couple of years, you could still pick this up and learn. And clients that we have now are like, okay, time to reread that chapter, you know, so it becomes this great tool for our clients, but also for those who aren't ready for us yet.
Sure. So can I ask, obviously as the business grows and changes, the focus should probably change as well. So does it help you refocus, like if that's a thing?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, going back to like our clients, there's times where they read the whole book, but now that we're actually applying and honing in on that subject, so like each chapter is a different subject: marketing, financial, systems, you know, recruitment, all that stuff. So when we get to a place where we're like, okay, we're working in a recruitment process, time to reread that chapter. Sure. So it is that where, you know, you just think, even when you go to the grocery store, one day you're starving, you don't have a list, you walk out with all this crazy stuff. All the stuff. You know, the next time you have a list and you know exactly what recipe you want to make, you go into certain aisles and you get what you need. The next time you might have a recipe, it's something else. And the same thing happens in business. Whatever you're focused on and your list says, or no list says, is what you're going to see in what aisles you go on. And the same is true when you're educating yourself. And that's why rereading books is an amazing thing to do. I've read books years later and I'm like, I don't remember any of this. This is awesome. It's crazy, but it's true.
And that focus is key too. And that, what you mentioned, the grocery store, I like you said that, because when I go to the grocery store, I'm in and out in like under 10 seconds. Basically, I know what I want and I don't look at anything else. So many times people are like, oh, did you buy everything you need? I'm like, yeah. I don't need to shop around, sorry.
Super efficient.
But that's why I'm pissed, because at Walmart and Publix, all of them are rearranged their shelves all the time. No. So I know where it is. So I'm like, what the hell, you guys did this again?
I'm sure you, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, So when would be a good time then, do you think, that somebody should seek that outside help? Like it could be upfront, or it should be later on, or when do you think?
Yeah, I think immediately. Now, what level you invest for it and who's a good fit is what you need to explore. But just like when you're starting, you know, whether it's fitness that you're starting a goal with, sometimes you can afford to go right to a personal trainer, and that's really the best. And some are higher than others because they're better than others. And I think that's true. Like, we're definitely not the cheapest coach out there, but we have amazing systems and we cover a lot of different areas in business, versus some consultants are, you know, working from home and they're experts in one specific area. And so they might be less, but they're only going to hone in on that one area. There's training programs you can go to, but you're not getting the accountability of somebody following through with you or meeting with our clients at least twice a month. I mean, that's very consistent. So I think it's just finding what works for you. I've sent people to, in St. Pete, we have the Greenhouse, which is a great resource for businesses, especially startups, because they offer, I think they said 300 classes, you know, and every city should have something like a small business development program of some sort that you could go and look into. But they offer, you know, QuickBooks classes and social media classes, and, you know, you got to start with something. There's usually free coaching, you know, volunteer coaches through some of that. So coaching is at every level. I think you just have to figure out where are you and what's the best match. We definitely have a specific group that we work with and are careful to only work with those. We only have so much time. So, you know, we have to be selective of the ones that are at the right level for us. But I know so many coaches, even in our community, that are all focused in different areas. So just like in fitness, you know, what do you want to learn? Do you want to learn, are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to tone? Are you trying to learn a martial arts? I mean, you got to find the trainer for you that fits what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Glad you mentioned that, because one of my great friends, I guess mentors, look up to everything, that Mike Arcee who is basically running our marketing campaigns, and we work together in many levels and starting new things together and so many things. And he just wrote his book as well. But the reason I bring this up, because he always mentions it to everybody and all his clients and that he works with, is that he very open about how much money he spends per year on ongoing education, and hiring coaches, going to take courses, just like you said. And he spends, I forgot what's the exact amount, but lots of money. Like, some people don't even have as much revenue, you know, that he spends on just ongoing education. And all his time is, he's only at his office on Mondays. And Mondays, all his team meetings, and he gets everything done. If something needs his attention, of course he can stay, but the rest of the week he's gone and traveling for these things, and he has also podcasts, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to say, he was the one who also told me that he has so many coaches. So he has coaches for this, he has coaches for sales, he has coaches for that. He has like 6-7 coaches at the same time. One general that runs everything through. Like, you know, like you have the experts of the things, and then the main one that he meets with, we're like, all right, so this is what we're going to take to action.
Exactly.
It's really good that you mentioned that, because it's important.
Well, and a lot of athletes do that. I mean, you guys are in a sports business, so you have to understand, you have to know about athletes and how they operate. But, you know, a Tiger Woods knows how to play golf. It's not about that. It's about, how do I hone into the next level? Because the difference between first place and second place is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, you know, that could be one stroke. I mean, it's that different. But in business, it's very true. It's that difference too. We just don't see it as visibly on a scoreboard. But we need to stay on top of our game, or, you know, we will become second place, or we'll never reach first. So, you know, I need a mindset coach, I need a swing coach, I need a, you know, a nutritional coach, I need a, you know, it's getting all facets of what's going to hone in the game to make the difference. That's exactly right. And there's a book, I totally forgot what it's called, but what you just mentioned about being the first and second, and it's, if you guys now pull up the movie box ticket, I mean a ticket, what do you call it? Movie box tickets, or box office. Box office. There we go. If you pull up the statistics, the number one, let's say, brings in, just look it up and you will see what I'm talking about. It probably brings in, like, let's say 100 million. The second from that will be around 10 million. Wow. And the third will be also 10. The fourth will be around 10, and then the fifth will be also around 10, and then it goes on to like 8, and then 7, 6. But the point is, the first is so far away, and the second is so behind. It's so crazy. It's with everything. The ice cream, chocolate, vanilla. Vanilla is actually number one. Everybody thinks chocolate is, but vanilla is in everything, from Starbucks, whatever you name it, even milk, you know, even almond milk. So vanilla is like up here, everything else is here at the same level. It's so cool. That is cool. So anyways, Juliet, so
what would be the number one advice that you could say to, let's say, because especially in the fitness industry and personal trainers, including myself, I know I went through it, but we so believe, especially because we do everything, that we are the best at everything that we do, and it's just so hard for them to let it go and hire people.
Yeah.
So what would you tell them to just create that mindset to themselves that if I want to have if you want to be a personal trainer, yeah, go ahead and train, but if you want to have your own business, you no longer will be doing the training if you want to build something, multiple locations, or which almost everybody wants to. But the problem is they get stuck by doing every single day. So what would you tell them, just like maybe step out of it somehow? Like a magic word, is there a magic word?
Well, it's funny because the founder of Action Coach, Brad Sugars, he would always tell this story relating to hairdressers, but I think it relates very much to your industry too, is, you know, if you want to grow the wage that you're earning, you're always going to earn the wage of a personal trainer unless you stop doing the work of a personal trainer.
True.
And so that's where it gets capped, is the fact that you're never going to out-earn your employees unless you stop doing the same work that they're doing, because that's your value to the marketplace. You have to increase your value by increasing what you're actually doing with your time, and when you start investing your time at a higher level, you're going to get a higher level return, and it won't be capped by how many hours you can work. It's a very limited way, and it's how we've been taught as employees to think. Owners need to earn based on how much they can get out of their investments, out of what they've built, not out of their time.
You need to cut that out. That was a perfect frame that we need to use for the promotion and everything, because that's basically what they needed to hear. Guys, that was what you needed to hear.
Yeah,
so make sure that you do that. And also,
we got it.
Yes. I also wanted to ask you that, so do you recommend to business owners, so let's say we're talking about the business owners, even us, that when do you recommend them, because you talked about it a little bit, that you tell them to maybe it's time to invest into another business, focus somewhere else, so do you recommend it to them to start to go and create something new that is connected to their core business, or do you recommend them to be busy with something else, or what do you usually recommend them?
I recommend doing better at dream setting and getting clear about the future, because when you start thinking about what kind of lifestyle do you want to have in the future, what kind of money it would take to actually create that kind of a future, you can usually back that in. So, you know, Stephen Covey, great author of Not Even Our Time, that always said, begin with the end in mind. And I think when you start beginning with the end in mind and you think about where do I want to be in the future, that really tells you, how do I back that into today, and how can I start getting future pulled instead of I don't want this, or I could grow a little off of last year. Start thinking about where you want to be in the future and start getting pulled that direction, because it doesn't matter really which way you go with it. It's finding what's going to fit what you want in the future. So if you still want to be highly engaged for the next 20 years, then maybe you pick something that's going to take you being in it. And so you want to actually be the person going and finding real estate investments, or you want to be in this industry for another 20 years, then maybe it's that you acquire other locations. So it's really fitting what makes sense for your timeline and what you want to make, and what that future is going to look like. I think that is the best way to go about it.
Good. That was very good also. Where can people find you?
Yes. So our website is Action Coach Tampa Bay. So action like a sports coach. I always say that. And coach. And then tampabay.com is our firm site.
Good. Perfect. And then any additional advice or anything to give away before we wrap this up?
Yeah, so what I always like to say is, you know, don't ever forget or limit the power of your mindset, because we can talk about all these things to do and to think about and to apply, but if you're not working on who you are being and the affirmations that you're telling yourself and who you're surrounding yourself with, it's going to sabotage all of that without you realizing it. So if you watch the news, or you tune into anything that's not helping your life go forward, turn it off. Turn off all of it, turn off the notifications, don't subscribe to that, and you'll tell just in a year the difference of how far you've made it. That's my tip, is turn all that off.
That was awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Juliet. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And guys, make sure you share this episode for if you are not a business owner, especially with a business owner, but share with your friends, share with everybody, because this is so important. You probably don't want to share it with your competition, because you don't want to, but unless it's a good competition, then share it with them. But just please share the episode, comment, share everything, and of course, please subscribe to our channel. Oops, upside down. Thank you very much, guys, and we really appreciate you as always. And thank you, Juliet. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, it's fun.
To meet you.